talk about the Nissan Titan. That's right, the Nissan Titan, which I've always had a pretty good fan base with the Titan, and I've owned the Titan. I had a 2017 Pro 4X, and I loved every minute of it. The insides of that thing were great. It drove great. The fuel economy wasn't bad for being a big V8, but there was little to no options past that. So, Auto News is reporting that our beloved Titan is gone by 2025 per reports, and I'm gonna jump into this in just a second, but I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I've said this is coming. And with Nissan's focus now going towards EV, you've got this big gas guzzling truck that they're not selling already. Is it dead? Let's break down the numbers and we'll go from there. As always, I will put the original link to the Automotive News in the description, so if you want to play along and read the article yourself, because the journalist, I've had some dealings with this guy. He's usually pretty sharp, and he's out of Atlanta, so he's pretty close to Nissan. I know he has a little bit of ties there, so I do trust this guy quite a bit, and we've shared some information in the past together. So I want to get into this, and the headline says, Nissan Titan said to be on the chopping block. Now, I've told you guys many times that this was coming. I've reported this for about a year now that this was going to happen. I've had some dealings within management of Nissan. I've privately had conversations, stuff that I cannot name names. They said, it's gone. And I've reported this many times, and hopefully you guys, now that Automotive News is picking this up, you'll understand. I know they, in your eyes, probably they have more credibility than I do, but with Nissan, trust me, I'm generally pretty ground floor with those guys and know what's going on. But in the end, the Detroit 3 gave no ground, and that is true. So there's a couple highlights I want to hit from this thing, but it says Nissan Motor Company plans to exit the full-size pickup market after years of failing to make a dent in the Detroit-dominated segment. And that is true. They've tried and tried, and I won't say it's just Nissan. We can go look at Toyota's sales number as well, and the Tundra, Toyota quality. I put Nissan up there with quality, other than CVT transmissions, which everybody has problems with that. Nissan just seems to be the poster boy for CVT issues, but I think import brands, they just struggle with bringing a full-size truck to the U.S. market, and part of the reason for that is I think that they struggle with the big three. You get a lot of packages. They have, sometimes I think they have way too many packages, but guess what? You get multiple engine options, and well, the import brands, they always like to play it safe. Let's give them one motor option. Just look at the last Tundra. You got the big V8, and that was it. The Titans currently had the 5.6 in it from the get-go. That's it. You got one motor option. And while Nissan initially, when the release in 16 of this, the second generation Titan, they said, hey, we're going to bring to market a V6 option. So something probably more affordable, more work truck oriented, what the interpretation, if you read between the lines back then. And they just never did it for whatever reason. And Nissan has a big problem with sometimes their PR department just talking and talking and talking. And it just doesn't happen for some reason. Now, we all can look at Nissan and go, well, they're always in trouble. And I won't say they're always in trouble. They were obviously in the 90s, they were close to being bankrupt, which might have done that brand better than what the French ended up doing once they got a hold of the company. And yes, you had all through the 2000s, Carlos Ghosn, he was the savior of Nissan. Well, was he? Because they've been a wreck ever since, because he, in the late 90s or late 2000s, decided that we got to have sales volume. We got to have volume. So Nissan is a hyper-focused company. If Altima's in their line of sight, that's all they worry about is Altima. Rogue was a smash hit from day one for Nissan, so that's been their hyper focus. And of course, it's built around the Altima platform. So a lot of similarities to that. So I get it. Car sales have just keep tumbling. Nissan sees their little CUVs doing well, and well, we're going to focus on that. Well, we all know with the Frontier was left way behind for 16 years before they decided to refresh it. And well, this Titan, they kept, well, are they or are they not? And Nissan was going to let Dodge at the time build the next generation Titan. And well, Dodge nearly went bankrupt themselves in 2009. So they pulled back, and it caused Nissan to be way behind in the refresh time. And well, by the time we got the 16, Pro 4X like you see here in front of us. Well, now this is the refresh, the 2020 refresh, but nonetheless, we didn't get something that's been current with the current market. they always seem to be about 3 years behind with their trucks. And it's something that I think the Tundra with Toyota right now, they're really battling. They're pushing the envelope on tech. We got to have all this tech in this truck so that it can sit on the market for a few years before they even need to think about refreshing it. And, it's somewhat current. Now, is it ever going to be Ford F-150 where they seem to every 3 months give us a new F-150 current? No, but that is Ford's bread and butter. So let's get into this article a little bit more, and we'll go from there. So it says, Nissan Motor Company plans to exit the full-size pickup market after years of failing to make a major dent in the giant Detroit-dominated segment. There are no plans, this right here, there are no planned engineering in the work. Let's see if I can say it right. There's no planned engineers working on the replacement and updating a source told Auto News. It's dead. Now, I've said this once again. I've reported this for quite a while that I was told the same thing. It's dead. Think about it. Nissan waited forever to give it. Are we going to do a 22? Because it's been in management's hand of do they, don't they, do they, don't they. They've pulled out of Canada now. I think you can, I know the diesel died, but that diesel should have died. That was a horrible engine, had nothing to do with Nissan. That was an engine no manufacturer wanted, and Nissan needed the credibility from Cummins, so they jumped on board. Well, that bit them in the ass too, because there was a lot of early detonations on that motor. But diesel isn't the name of the game anymore. It's about fuel economy in trucks, and it's about V6s. And like I said earlier, Nissan just never played the game with the V6. So let's get a little further in this. So a source who asked to not be identified said that Nissan is determining whether to pull the plug on the 24 or 25 model year. Now, for me, it makes sense. If they're going to do it, they're going to probably do it in 24. Why do you say? I say because they've got a lot of EVs that are ramping up. You got Aria coming to fruition. They teased us this past fall with a bunch of little EVs in Canton, Mississippi, where they build the current Titan and Frontier. They're about to switch to an EV, not completely, but a lot of EVs. And Nissan, like other manufacturers, hope the EV is going to be the answer to all their problems. But so Nissan's North American spokesman Brian Brockman said the Titan remains in Nissan's truck lineup for the 22 and year beyond. Now, that's PR talk. You always hear this. You always hear the people in PR. They're always going to do that to you. Well, it's in our lineup, and for the foreseeable future. They like to use that word a lot too. And yeah, so do we get another model year? Who knows? Also, no matter what manufacturer, when they terminate a vehicle, they don't give press releases. There's no going out parade or anything like that. They just quietly disappear. So, which is what you're going to see with the Titan. But let's get back into this a little bit. But there's an important part. It's an important part of the showrooms, he said. Well, of course it is. But the problem with Nissan is they've never trained their salespeople to properly sell a full-size truck. GM and Ford and Ram, they've had decades to get to be truck centric the way they are now, and Nissan's just so late to the game, and they've never seemed to. They hired Fred Diaz from Ram a few years ago, and he was supposed to be, when they launched this truck, he was kind of going to be the PR face of that vehicle, and he did in many ways reshape how the vehicle was going to look. And even the current Frontier, he had saw they were going to use the Navara that launched in 2014, and they were going to bring it to the States, and he was like, this will not work in the States. It needs to, they need to have this, and they wanted to reuse a lot of parts, which it's a couple in the Frontier, but they wanted to do seats and a lot of just cheaping of the truck. But let's get back into this a little bit, and let's see. So, but two leading industry forecasters, LMC Automotive and Auto Forecast Solutions, also do not expect Nissan to introduce a redesigned Titan once the production currently ends by late 24. Now, there's some numbers if I remember right here. So here's what I want to showcase right here. So in 17, which is when I got mine, they sold 52,924. It's not great numbers, but it dropped in 16. I want to say 16 numbers were pretty similar. And by 18, you see it only dropped maybe 2,000, but it started dropping. 19, look at that. Dropped what, almost 20,000 there. Then it dropped another 4,000. Of course, 2020, it's hard to gauge numbers on that because of the pandemic. And I've said many times why Nissan during the pandemic didn't go all in with the Titan. why they didn't advertise the piss out of that thing. But as you can see, the numbers are up a little bit, but they're only getting 1.3 of this segment right now. And in the comments, I want you to comment about this. And don't be just a hardcore Ford guy and be like, it's because they suck. Nissan builds a very good American-made product, man. They here in Middle Tennessee, they have a lot of vendors here. They're big for my community. It's the same way in Canton, Mississippi, where a lot of the big three are shoving their trucks down to where they're more profitable in Mexico, which, hey, I get it. There's no complaints about that, but I don't want to hear like, we're more American than they are, because none of these are global companies now. They're not American companies. They're not Japanese companies anymore. They're all traded everywhere. They're global companies. So, but back to my point of, I don't know why Nissan during the pandemic didn't just go all in. The Lord knows they had the Titan sitting around everywhere, and I would have advertised the piss out of these things saying, hey, guess what? Ford and them can't get you your trucks right now because whether it be chip issues or whatever the issues are, try Nissan. And then you do some sort of just Hail Mary of like, and then they like to do like 8,000 off of it, do 10,000 off of it just to move metal to get butts in seats. It drives great. Trust me, you drive a Titan, they drive great. Some of the tech is slightly older. They've refreshed the infotainment system, some of that. Other than that, I kind of like that sometimes these trucks are more basic than what the other guys, have right now. But it is what it is. I'm sad to see any full-size truck leave the market because I like to see people have options. I like to see choices. And what does this say to Toyota? Remember, Toyota's sales, I think they're selling about 60 to 90,000 a year, which is okay. But it's not what Ford and them are doing. And does this kind of shake up Toyota with their Tundra and be like, if this one's not a hit, we might pull the plug as well. So there you go, guys. Let me know what you think. Oh, man. I want to see this truck succeed, but you just see the sales just keep going down and down and down. In the comments below, let me know what you think. Is it V8? Is that the issue? If that Nissan would have brought out a V6 with the V8, would that have helped solve things? I don't think it would have, honestly, because I think the import brands struggle with the most. They don't offer many options. You get the truck, you get their off-road truck, you get their basic truck. They have the in-betweens, but you can't kind of customize it like you can with the big three. So, in the comments below, let me know what you think. I'm a fan of Nissan. I always like to see the brand do really well because they're here in my hometown, and it always helps my friends and family. So, whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or this Nissan Titan, we might not get to drive much longer. This has been your All Terrain Nation, and I'm your host, David Boyd. We're out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.